is a Friday night, boys and girls. The work week is kindly done. Yes. Oh my goodness. And look who we have. A fine talent that we've never met before. And I love these kind of interviews because, again, all of you know that do watch regularly, I don't write a damn thing down. I don't look a damn thing up. And we just love to have fun off the cuff and live a little bit dangerous on the edge. And we do it all together. So, with that said, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Carter Mason. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you for having me, sir. I'm looking forward to this. I've heard good things. I've heard good things from a bad guy, so I don't know what that's worth. But I've heard good things.
We're definitely diving into that because I wanted to make that connection, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I know we don't know each other. So around here, I'm from Connecticut.
Right.
Where are you from, my man?
I'm from Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, holy shit. I didn't expect that. Okay. Because I talk to a lot of states, within the United States. So
absolutely.
You are my woo! Boys and girls, we got our first international star. We got our first international star, brother, right here. Yes. I love firsts on Stirring the Pot, and here we have another. That's fantastic. Now, I know you have a moniker before your name, so let's just start there because I really like to get to know the talent that I bring on the show. So please give us your full name because I don't do research, and I apologize.
No, you're fine. So I go by the King of the North, Carter Mason. Have for the last couple years. I've been wrestling for 18 years, so that's obviously changed over that time period. But the last couple years, people have known me as the King of the North, Carter Mason.
I love to speak evolution on this show, my man. Maybe wrestling in general or the character, the talent we're speaking with, what has gone on from the beginning of your career. But the King of the North, I would really like you to share with the fans, how does one get such a title? Because that's a pretty heavy title there, my man. You got to do a lot of business in the game to gain something like that as a moniker. So please, how do you get something like that in front of Carter Mason?
I don't disagree with that at all. Interestingly, it was actually given to me. I had approached someone that I respect highly with, call it vague ideas and how I was feeling. And I knew it was time to take the next step or evolve or whatever you want to call it. But I couldn't find that name to encompass the emotion and the reality of my career and what I wanted to portray. So I explained a few of these things to this individual, and they called me back honestly the next day and was like, "Your name is the King of the North. You're the King of the North, Carter Mason." And as soon as he said it, I was like, "There's nothing like you're absolutely correct. I sure am, and it would be very hard to argue." And you're right, like to have a name like that, it's not a name you can just choose and hold on to loosely. It's something that you have to fill, if anything. And I think I've done a good job filling it for the last couple of years.
Well, I love that explanation because sometimes when I talk to the talent, they're a tad vague. And you gave us some really detail on it, and I love that. I love you for that. Now, the King of the North, obviously, we're talking beyond the United States, or are we talking like across the globe? Like the North goes for a long time. I'm just saying.
North is a big, encompassing area. I mean, and I will leave it to perception. And I guess it's subjective, how far the North reaches is up to you and the fans, I guess. I'll say at least Canada. At least Canada.
Okay, at minimal Canada.
At least.
Being the King of the North, and I'm just going off, again, off the cuff, and I only got one brain cell, so just take this journey with me, my man. The King of the North, I would love to see a North Pole match with you, and I don't give a crap who. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I think you'd be one of the first, and I don't know the whole history of wrestling, but I don't remember too many of the North Pole matches coming my way visually.
I
So
don't
maybe that's something you could do in your journey in your career here, my man.
You're not. I'm actually more surprised that it's not something that's been pitched to me already. But like, hey man, I got this great idea. It's not been brought up surprisingly, and I also cannot recall any North Pole matches myself. So you might be right. You might be right.
We could have just grabbed a little bit of innovation, something never seen in wrestling. Do you see that, boys and girls? How much stuff, though? As we were talking evolution earlier, the evolution of wrestling. We've seen so much stuff, and I talk about this on the show an awful lot. The awestruck, the shock value of these cool things in wrestling that we see throughout the evolution. We're kind of lost in that because we've seen so much. There's almost nothing more.
Sure.
Almost. There's almost nothing more to see in wrestling. But right now, my man, the King of the North Pole match. I feel bad for your opponent because you're not losing this, baby.
How can I? How can I? I'm the king of the North. Like, how am I going to lose a North Pole match?
Well, enough of my silliness.
No.
Please, let's get into some info. You've talked already. You've been in the game for about 18 so years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I started 2 weeks. My first practice was 2 weeks before my 15th birthday.
Oh, yes. We have some of those guys around here that have been in the game as a young teenager. Now, around here in the States, you have to be 18, get the old, signature on there before you can actually work in the ring. But you can be around the business and get that knowledge soaked in until you become 18 and sign on the dotted line. Is it the same way in Canada?
So it actually, I know for a fact, it goes like state by state. Different states have different laws regarding that. New York is like very, very strict in terms of that kind of stuff. When I was starting, you had to not only be 18 to be on an event of any sort. You had to be 18. You could train and stuff, but you could not be in front of a paid audience, right? You had to be 18 plus, but not only that, you had to have a license. So you got like a driver's license essentially, but it was a wrestling license. And you had to be licensed to do so. When I was like 17 and like 3/4, they got rid of it. So like a month, 2 months before my birthday, which I mean, it didn't matter because it's not like the next week I went and wrestled. You know what I'm saying? But it still felt like, you know what I mean? As a teenager, I was like, oh, of course. But no longer do you need that. Pros and cons to it because it ensured that every company that ran an event needed proper insurance and needed this and that. And there was a lot of positive oversight. There was a lot of negative oversight as well. So, I mean, I wish it had kind of maybe not disappeared, but fallen somewhere in the middle, maybe regressed a little bit. But it is what it is. Right now, you can just wrestle. Right now, there's nothing required. No age, nothing.
And with the license, though, and I've been in locker rooms, a privilege and honor. I just can't. I use those two words whenever I envision myself crossing that fan wrestler line, that invisible line. That
absolutely.
Let's be honest. Not all fans see that line.
Yeah.
But that line that's there. I always use those two words, a privilege and an honor, to be able to cross that and even be able to go behind the scenes even more and go into locker rooms.
Sure.
But that license, some might feel that it's more comfortable because then it's a validation that they know that the locker room is trained, because not everybody, everybody can say that they're trained, but not everybody is trained.
Absolutely, sir. And again, that's where it comes to pros and cons, because when it was here, everyone wanted it gone, right? And now, over the last 5-6 years, a lot of people are like, man, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea, So, but I guarantee you, if it came back the way it was, people would be like, get rid of it, right? So again, it wasn't right the way it was. I don't think it's right being gone. Yeah, I think it should be somewhere kind of in the middle, but it's tough to do. So it more falls on the veterans, the promoters, the trainers, etc., to protect the business, protect the talent, protect the new trainees, etc. And if that means telling someone, listen, this isn't safe for you to do not wrestle, so be it, right? Whatever protecting means, right? So
Right.
it falls on the veterans and stuff, et cetera, whoever I just listed a little bit more now. That's all.
So you're in the ring very early in your life.
Yes, sir.
Uh, we're just talking about training here. Speak to us, who you were under the tutelage of, and all of that good stuff. Maybe a promotion if it was, or the name of the school, or your trainer, what have you. Just give us all of that cool info if you could.
So a lot of people were like, I started training when I was 15, and I trained at this school, and then I had my first match at this. Bam. My history, my history's not that way. It's a little bit more like this.
Yes,
So,
we like it like that.
yeah, I mean, it gives more character, I guess. I was a Greco-Roman wrestler prior to becoming a professional wrestler, whatever you want to call it. And that in of itself is a funny story because I started that at a very young age, before high school. But I was signed up with the impression that I was being signed up for a pro wrestling school, right? So my mom knew I loved pro wrestling. I wanted to be a wrestler, and she signed me up for wrestling. That's all I knew. And I show up to class thinking I'm going to be jumping off the top rope and doing moonsaults, and there's a mat with a circle on it. And I'm like, this is different. I've never seen this before. And my dumb ass, I'm like, I swear to God, it took me almost a year before I finally was like, I think these are two different sports. I don't think in my head, I was like, oh, it makes sense. Yeah. So like you start on the mat, and then once you it's like beginner class, like start on the mat and then you graduate, advance, and then you'll get in the ring. Right. And then a year later, go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to ask?
I was just going to interject real quick, and I hate to interrupt, but getting that experience on the mat, going into professional wrestling, and we've seen it many a time,
100%.
with the people on TV, never mind in the indie scene, working their way up. What a great tool to have.
Night and day. Being athletic of any sort helps, but like if you're strictly a football player, a lot of football players are like they go one direction. They have one purpose, right? Whether it's catch, so you might be quick, whether it's hit, so you're strong but you're stiff, right? Even basketball players, they're very tall, so their pivot, their movement, even as a basketball player, for a basketball player might be quick, but for an overall athlete, my pivot being a little bit shorter is typically going to be quicker than someone 6'10", right? Or whatever the case might be. So wrestling is one of the few sports, not the only by any means, but one of the few that your whole body is being involved in so many different ways that, again, like you said, it does very much translate into professional wrestling. So it was an accident. I would have never signed up for it. And if I had been told prior to that first practice, probably wouldn't have gone.
Right.
But it's like my second love. I was actually, by the end of my Greco-Roman career, I was being offered scholarships for colleges and universities in the States. And I was in very serious talks of pursuing the Olympics, right?
Could you give us maybe a record that you were holding at the time?
I wish I had tracked it better. I could bring out all my medals for you. I have a bag, literally like a bag full of just medals.
Boys and girls, we've got fucking Kurt Angle. Why didn't you tell me you were Kurt Angle? What the hell?
Not quite, but I mean, I started wrestling years before high school, and I ended up doing an essay. What did they call it? An assignment. I'm sorry. On Kurt Angle in like grade 8, so he was definitely a inspiration of mine. A lot of people, right? I got to actually share the ring with him a few years ago, which was like, we didn't wrestle, we did not have a match. I interfered on someone else's match, and then he ran in the ring and beat the shit out of me to stop me from interfering. So unfortunately, I didn't get to wrestle him, but I got beat up by Kurt Angle in a ring in front of a paid audience, and like, I'm good. I'm freaking good, bro.
Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Not at all. I'm satisfied. So.
And I know I kind of interrupted your timeline that you were running here, and I'm sorry again. I just I just bounce all over the
Oh yeah,
place. So,
no, you're fine, man. You're fine.
and I wish you would have told me you were Kurt Angle. I mean, holy crap. Now,
Not Kurt Angle. I'm not Kurt Angle. I did not say that. I'm gonna get friggin' messages from people around Ontario like Carter Mason telling everyone he's freaking Kurt Angle now. Ugh. That's
no,
what you
no,
hear. He's freaking Kurt Angle.
no, anybody watching. This is all my ridiculousness. Don't pin it on Mr. Mason.
Even if you, my friend, it would be far from the first time. I'm used to it. Blame it on me is my new quote. My new go-to.
I name every single episode different to give it its own flavor, if you will.
Yeah.
And this is going to be actually episode 278.
Okay.
And about, maybe 2 years time, a year and a half time, pre-COVID, I started kicking it, and now we're, about this will be 278.
78 episodes later.
I didn't mean to yammer about that, but my point is the title of this is holy crap, it's Kurt Angle. I think I'm going to call that.
Do it, please. That's wonderful.
Yes. See, yes, I love it. Yes, that's awesome.
Really funny.
I just named one the other night. Don't be such a dickhead, or don't be a dickhead, or something like that. And I go, I should call this episode that. He goes, please do.
I wish I had known that prior to your last interview with Mr. King Leon there, because I would have given you the name for your episode. So, but it's fine. It's fine.
You know what? And I know we're talking Mr. Mason, but you went and brought up Mr. And it's not Leon. You better correct yourself, my friend. And I know we're just meaning each other. It is King Leon. He does not like Leon. It's a totally different feel. I'm sorry. Look at that puss.
So like I said, King Leon. He's lucky. He's lucky I didn't know prior. He already knows. He already knows what I'd be giving you for the name, and I'm gonna wait for the right moment to drop it.
Okay. Okay.
I hope you strictly call him this from now on. I hope it becomes a sign. Perhaps T-shirts are made. I hope he's forced to have no choice other than make it a full-fledged gimmick. That's what I hope he does.
Oh God, I'm not even. I drank moonshine with him last night.
Okay.
And yeah,
you had to do that with him.
A fan made me this beautiful extra king size mason jar of apple cinnamon moonshine, might I say? I'm sorry, and I'm not a drinker, and it just seems to be here at the. And it seems to be here at the ready. Holy shit! But I drank with Mr. Baker last night because he had breaking news. Oh. And if you do know of one Mr. Baker, A.K. King Leon the Sixth, he was. Yeah, oh my goodness. He was King Leon the Sixth. Then he transitioned, Evolution we were speaking of, and we're going to get to yours. Then he went to King Leon, you know what, for your sake, and he's going to kill me. King Leon the Black Way. And then he went to just Leon, but with the little thing, so it's Leon. I want to say both so I don't get murdered. Now, that's where he's at right now. But last night, breaking news. Well, it really wasn't last night. It was kind of the other night. But we're playing like it was last night. Last night on breaking news.
Right.
Mr. Baker, a.k.a. All of those names I listed. He's he's going back to his original, his roots, the OG, if you will. King Leon the Sixth is coming back, my man. I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of not, because he's a dickhead to me when he's in the ring. But again, as I said to him, he's a dickhead in the ring to everybody. So I don't really feel like pulled out.
You're not personally attacked, right?
Yeah.
In Canada, one of our major furniture stores is called Leon's, and it's spelled the exact same way. So anytime I see his name, I just assume he's like selling me furniture. So he's just the king of the furniture guy. So. I've never been scared of a furniture salesman. Not yet. No. Never say never, right? But not yet. Not yet. No. If you could do me a favor and only strictly refer to him from here on out as the Duck Lord, That would be absolutely incredible. And again, if we could make posters, maybe a sign, front row, duck, let's go, Duck Lord. I would greatly appreciate it. As your first Canadian, as a Canadian Kurt Angle, as you said. Yeah, Duck Lord sign, Duck Lord T-shirt, just yeah.
Yeah, I have on my device at the ready that specific comment that you are speaking of right now because I have been so freaking curious of what the hell this means, and you just gave it to me right now, my man. But I'm I'm gonna go one step further. I know you know what he said, but I don't know what the fuck he said. So his response is this.
Read the first word backwards.
Oh, son of a bitch.
My online gamer tag is that, but it's always taken, so I just turned it backwards. So everyone started calling me a Bafiak, but if you say it backwards, then you understand.
That's what I've been saying. What the fuck is a Bafiak? I go, it's got to be an acronym. I go, I cannot wait to ask him. Acronym. You are.
Look at it in the mirror.
Oh my god. That you know what? Because it is backwards in the camera. Let's see how it kind of.
No, it's still a Bafiak.
Ah, son of a bitch.
Only a mirror. You need a mirror.
Okay. I thought it would spin for, but see again, I only have one brain, so I'm not that bright. We all know that.
But you just got it. Like I said, just read it backwards.
The fucking Duck Lord. My friend.
Yes.
First off, I can't breathe. I think I got a broken rib, and I lost my spleen with all of that laughter. You, my friend, are a gem, and I can't wait to lay the Duck Lord on him. He's gonna be so pissed.
I can't wait.
He's gonna be so pissed. Oh, you know what?
I'm gonna get text immediately.
And I know we are supposed to be speaking of One King of the North, Carter Mason, but I just want to touch upon another thing that was laid out on the interview with Mr. Baker, and it pertains to this, what we're speaking of.
Sure.
Whew, I can't breathe for shit now.
Catch your breath. Catch your breath. Regroup.
Sometime back, Mr. Baker put out, if this status gets 100 likes, there will be a match with Don Kincaid, being myself.
Gotcha.
Now, son of a bitch, if
Jason Kincaid.
Yeah.
No? No relation?
To who?
Any relation to Jason Kincaid?
Oh, no, don't I wish. And I've actually spoken to him about that. How people have actually asked me. Yeah.
To Jason?
Yeah.
Jason's one of my best friends on earth. He's literally my guru. If I need advice or guidance or a friendly smile, Jason is my guy. He is one of my favorite people on earth. One of my best friends. Amazing human being.
I did not catch him live. We were chit-chatting on the old social media, and I threw it at him.
Have you ever seen him wrestle?
I have. I know of his work, even with the long hair, ROH, and even previous. I know all of that about. Whenever he shaved his head, I almost flipped my. Well, I didn't almost. I flipped my shit.
If you want a fun match? Look up Carter Mason versus Jason Kincaid. We've had a handful. But Barry Wrestling. That's a fun one. Yeah, nothing. Well, I was gonna say nothing insane, but I mean, subjective.
Wow.
So,
I am definitely going to be looking that up, my friend. Thank you.
Whatever. That's a fun one. Should be up there. Should be on YouTube. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I see. This is what I love about on the fly stuff. It does not matter one bit. So that damn post of his got 100 likes, and
fight him.
When I spoke to him, he goes, I kind of brought it up, and yeah, there's now officially. It's going to be me in a match. I don't know my opponent. I don't know because it's not going to be a regular old match. Knowing this guy,
You're not fighting Duck Lord?
Well, again, he won't tell me my opponent. He won't tell me because he goes. Yeah, it could be a special ref match. It could be a hardcore match. He goes, you know what? That's not a bad idea. It could be a hardcore match. And I will bring out a petition for no hardcore match on this whole
You know
thing
what it
too.
should be? You know what it should be? North Pole match.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
It was meant
But
to be.
But I want you to have the first ever.
It was meant to be. I'm granting it to you, though. From the legit king to fake King Leon, the king of furniture, Sir Duck Lord himself, I grant you that match. Yeah.
Thank you. The Duck Lord gets me every time. Oh my god, I'm like a little kid.
Gets you every time. Gets me every time. I wish I could give you more, but Duck Lord's enough. Duck Lord's enough. If we can get a Duck Lord chant in a crowd, my life, I've done enough.
Oh, well, you do know. I know, again, we're just meeting each other and getting to know one another here as the minutes pass. I take my phone and I go to the shows. I don't go to as many as I used to. I was doing probably like average about 15 a month.
How many?
I don't do that many a month. Excuse me?
How many of those were in Toronto? Says he's a wrestling fan.
Okay. My bad as a kid.
What am I supposed to do, guys? I'm trying.
My bad.
Canadian, right? Screw us. What good are we? Jeez. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry, please. But yeah, I don't do as many as I used to. But I do go around to the events, and I take my phone. I do little promos with the talent that's out there, the guys, the girls, the referees.
Sure.
We all like to have a lot of fun. It doesn't matter who it is, announcers, timekeepers, bell ringers. I don't give a crap. But since I do record basically everything wherever I go when I'm at the shows, if there's going to be a Duck Lord chant, you will absolutely hear it, see it. It'll be on the medias because I will have it totally on film.
I'll feel it. I'll feel it in my I'll stop where I am. I'll like it happened.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh my goodness.
It's like not, but with like a duck. You know what I mean?
No, I totally feel you.
And next time, if you're gonna have that match with him specifically, make sure he gets paid in quote unquote duck dollars.
Ooh. How about instead of duck dollars, duck sauce?
Well, he made up duck dollars. That's his terminology. So I'm trying to use his. I don't want to tease a 29-year-old for acting like a 9-year-old, but we're just going to use his verbiage against him. You know. So
okay.
He gets paid in duck dollars. He should be satisfied. He should be freaking thrilled.
He's gonna watch this. And he's gonna be like,
look him up on Facebook to message him later. It's good. You turn up sound.
He's gonna be like, "Holy fuck!" He's gonna be like, "Holy fuck!" The Duck Lord is so over.
Gotta change my gimmick all over again.
I know. I haven't been able to gone back to the 6 yet, and I got already transitioned.
I gotta stop selling furniture.
And boys and girls, this is not Spike. This is just a couple guys who are associated within wrestling, just having some fun. That's and this is what I love, Mr. Mason. This is what I absolutely love, though, about wrestling, because, and I've mentioned this a couple times. I have a post, and I'll just paraphrase because I don't always remember it. But all races, religions, creeds, colors, your gender, how you see yourself in the world, your depression, if you're rich, if you're poor, all of these things that all walks of life. And I know there's a lot of sports that bring those types of people together, but there's one sport in my eyes as a fan that I've seen over the years that will bring every one of those walks of life together and not have a riot, not beat other fans of other wrestlers up. Say if you're a Jets fan and a Bears fan or what have you, and you have all of these crazy ass, fights and shit at the arenas and at the stuff. Wrestling is not that. When we all go to wrestling from all those walks of life, we have fun. And there's not all of that bullshit that happens. You know what I'm saying?
100% agreed. I find, I mean, you reference football for the most part, and like football, unfortunately, is kind of a world of its own. Soccer, I feel like it's had its moments for sure, you know, hooligans and all what have you. But I find like basketball, soccer, there's a handful of sports out there that do that, just what you said. Wrestling is definitely, if not the top one, um, tied for the top with whatever other ones you want to list. This is, I mean, again, I've been wrestling a long time. I've been wrestling longer than more than half my life. So more than half of my life has been nothing but wrestling, right? Which is freaking insane to think about. But like the pandemic's kind of been a blessing in disguise that it's forced me to do anything else. Like since I've been 15 years old, we'll say, my only concern has been get better at wrestling, become a name, get signed, pay the bills, whatever, you know, typical adult stuff. Pandemic hit, I had no option. Like Canada, there's still no wrestling. Legally, we cannot wrestle here. Still, since it started, right? So there's nothing here. We have no choice. Absolutely none. Can't even practice legally by law. Cannot practice. But I mean, and as much as that sucked, and it took a good 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it was, months. Once I kind of accepted it, it was great because it forced me to, you know, get out of that shell that I've been in for so long. But now it's time to like it was a break I didn't know I needed, and now it's time to come back to it. You know what I'm saying? Now it's
you're not the first one to say that, my friend. You are
definitely shocked if I was. I'd be shocked if I was. I bet there's more people that still don't even realize, because I didn't realize I needed the break, right? Till I was out of it, and it still took almost like a year before I finally was like, maybe this isn't a bad thing, you know. So I've watched every pay-per-view since pandemic started, but I've watched very little wrestling beyond that, right? I'll watch. I mean, I got a lot of friends in either company, major company, we'll say. So I'll watch my friends, and I love my friends. I support them. I want to know how they're doing and see what they're doing. But beyond that, I've been very reserved with my wrestling. But I feel like I needed to come back, to want to come back and do it at a level that the fans deserve for me to do it. If you're not going 100% as an athlete, as a wrestler, then I don't feel you should be doing it. And that, like, my 100% might be different than your 100%. Your 100% might be different than Triple H's 100%, right? But like whatever your 100% is, you should be giving it. And if you don't feel that you want to, or you should, or whatever, then, you know what I mean, in my opinion, maybe reconsider. And I feel that break and not watching and not being obsessed with it the way I had been for 18 years is going to make me re-obsessed and make me come back at 200%, you know? So
now, having wrestling so dominant in your life at an early age and being part of the wrestling business, being part of the scene, especially over the course of the past 18 years, we'll say, you've, I'm sure, watched a whole lot of different stuff. And then you kind of come up, the pandemic hits, you kind of watch the pay-per-views. Why the pay-per-view specifically?
That's honestly a personal reason. That's just so I can spend time and watch it with my mom. That's it.
Okay.
Not that's it. That's not it. But pay-per-views are always like you're expected to get your bang for your buck kind of deal, right?
Okay.
It's expected to be a great event one way or the other. I know I'm going to get good matches. I know I'm getting the payoff for most part. Some feuds continue, some storylines continue, things like that. But for the most part, I'm getting the payoff, right? I'm getting good solid matches, good wrestling. So I can tickle my itch, you know, like, holy shit, Seth just did 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it is, whoever it is. But like, they just went balls to the wall. That was a phenomenal match. Selling's amazing, storytelling's amazing, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? And then the next major component is just spending time with my mom. So it's like, personal reason there.
Do you go, your go-to for wrestling? Is it the Big Dub, or is it AEW, ROH, New Japan? What's your go-to if you had one?
At this point, it's Comfortable Living. That's what my go-to is: comfortable living. And whoever's going to supply comfortable living while allowing me to do what I love, I'm not picky, right? My dream is WWE for sure, because that's what like sparked my love for wrestling. That's what I grew up on and fell in love with. So of course it is. I was blessed and lucky enough to be able to do a match on Monday Night Raw not too long before the pandemic hit. Would love for, you know, Vince to call me up and be like, "Hey pal, we got an NXT spot for you." But if AEW calls me, if New Japan calls me, if Mexico calls me, if someone calls me and goes, "Hey man, we got a contract for you, or we got a spot for you where you will be able to make a living and take care of a family off of it," I don't need to be John Cena money. You know what I'm saying? That would be fucking nice, right? But as long as I can take care of myself and a family doing what I love, then that's more than most people get to see in their lifetime. And I consider that that's more than enough for me. Anything beyond that is just a bigger blessing from the universe, you know?
Absolutely. Very well said. Now, I kind of wanted to get back to the evolution to where we are right now of Carter Mason, because you said you've only been the King of the North, Carter Mason, for a couple years now.
Yep.
Now, previous to that, and I know we spoke of the North Pole match not once but twice. Now, take us back to the beginning. Your first, you know, you're getting in. You have your first match coming up. Now, what's your first gimmick? And please tell us it's something kooky. And the North Pole match is perfect for this. Please tell me it was something like when Kane broke in and he was the Christmas creature.
Not quite as kooky. Unfortunately, I mean, knocking on wood here. Excuse me. Unfortunately, not had anything like crazy kooky like that. I dressed myself, so my gimmick was, I was a huge Jeff Hardy fan at that time. I was 14 years old, so I was dressed maybe kind of kooky, but like it wasn't a kooky gimmick per se. But my first, I can walk you through pretty much the majority. My first, I went by Strictly Mason for like a month, and then my original school was like, you need a first name. So then at the time, I had a friend named Corey, and I just always thought the name Corey was really cool. So I became Corey Mason. And then I actually took a little break off. I did a handful of tours of Europe, came back from Europe, had messed up my body a little bit. I tore my trap and just had some lingering injuries I had to deal with. Took some time off. When I came back, I'm like, I don't feel like Corey anymore, you know? And I became Carter Mason. And originally, it truly was supposed to be Mason Carter instead of Carter Mason. But Mason Ryan was just debuting at that time and getting a lot of TV time and a big push and stuff. So, you know, I tried to keep it as unique and original as possible. And I didn't want to be Mason Ryan and Mason Carter. So I became Carter Mason. But I was already Corey Mason, so it wasn't, you know what I mean? It kind of made more sense to everyone else. No one questioned it, right? And Carter came from just a lot of things that I love. One of my favorite artists is named Carter. One of my favorite movies, songs. So there's a lot of influences for the name Carter, for which it came. So went from Mason to Corey Mason to Carter Mason. I want to say for a very short portion, I was known as the Canadian Cocaine, and I can't remember if that was Corey Mason or Carter Mason. Yeah, right. Another name that was given to me when I was young. It was supposed to just be like the idea of being high energy and very hard hitting, and you know, but a very out there name, especially for today's age, I guess. Didn't last long, right? But that was one of the monikers. Then I became One Love Carter Mason. I came out to Bob Marley, Could You Be Loved? And that was, yeah, for years. And that was one of my favorite. And until I became the King of the North, at the time, that was the closest to being myself that I had kind of found and been able to implement into wrestling, was that. And then it had run its course. I was One Love Carter Mason for a handful of years, and it was just time to take the next step. I got nothing but love for One Love Carter Mason. It did me well, you know, it did me good. But it was just time to become the king, you know. So, and that was the journey.
So you go from One Love to the King of the North,
Yes, sir.
and now you're coming out to a Bob Marley theme song for your entrance, correct?
Previously, I was.
Now, right now, what are you coming out to? Because I'm kind of curious on the differentials here.
Actually, it doesn't drive me nuts, but it drives me nuts because I'm like, oh, he's not going to be underground too much longer. The WWE actually now uses him. He does the intro song for Monday Night Raw, and he's done a couple of pay-per-views. He might do NXT. I'm not sure. His name is literally NF, the letters NF. That's his artist name. And the song I come out to is named All I Do.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Rick Boogs.
Oh.
Rick Boogs!
No.
Oh, no, that would have been fun.
Yeah,
no, I appreciate that info. Now, through these, the evolution of your career here,
right?
Could you kind of talk to us? Face, heel, face, heel. What are you doing throughout your career?
Everything.
A little bit of everything.
I am. It's tough. I'd be really like 50, 50, 50, 55, 45. I might be heel a little bit more. I know people prefer me as a heel. It's more natural. It's easier for me. But I'm lucky enough, and it's not easy. A lot of people, most people, anyone in wrestling will tell you that being a successful babyface is not easy per se. And I became a successful babyface because I was a successful heel. I think.
Okay.
I got people to first hate me, genuinely. I get the heel heat, and then they respected me. You know, they hated me so much that they ended up respecting me. So that when I did turn face, everyone was like, "All right, you know, that's our guy." And I find that no matter the company, that kind of typically seems to be the process. So I seem to start heel. Most companies have again, knock on wood, I tend to have a pretty good run and course as heel. Usually I'll have one specific feud, depending on which company it is, that, is just like the one where at the end of it, both wrestlers are appreciated. It doesn't matter if you're the good guy or bad guy. The fans are just like, you know what? Right. Those guys gave us a great fucking match. They both fought hard, whatever it was. So then when I do turn face, they've almost been waiting for it. They're like, oh, we still hate you, but like if you would just you could be such a good guy, look to the bright side, like become one of us. And then when I do, they seem to be reactive. So I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky and very appreciative. That it seems to go that way.
A two-part question here. What do you prefer? Because like you've already described, and many, many a talent have said, probably way more have said this than not. It's much harder to be a successful babyface because it's so easy to piss off the fans. And you don't have to do the middle finger. You don't have to use vulgar language. You could be a great, great heel without being like a dick, like a total dick like that. So how do you feel your comfortable zone is doing heel or babyface? And do you have that connection with the fans? Because I love to get this answer from the talent. Do you have a connection? You must, obviously, because you've got this run here of 18 years. You find yourself very connected with the fans when you come out through the curtain, getting that vibe, getting that energy, utilizing it within your match. And if you do you feel there was a point in your career where you actually felt this is the connection that I finally made with the fans anytime in your career?
Great question. Second part, well, both are good, but the second one is a very good question, and one that I actually have not been asked. So heel is easier for sure, more natural, whatever. Because like you said, you don't need to do fuck you or whatever, but if nothing else works, you can resort back to that, right? As a babyface, if you go out and you go, come on guys, yeah, and that doesn't work, you don't have much else to resort to, right? Like, you're kind of shit out of luck. So it is tough. Like, it's tough to make someone like you. It's not hard to make someone dislike you in or out of wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. It can be very tough. Like, you have more tools as a heel naturally to upset someone than you do as a babyface to make them like you. In terms of the second part of the question, it wasn't until like the back end of One Love and then becoming King of the North that I got the connection with the fans. And now I do have that. But that I feel is one of the like skills that a wrestler needs to develop. That like you don't just go and learn how to take a bump or a roll or a suplex or you know what I'm saying. You can't learn to get that connection. You can be given guidance and suggested and suggestions and things like that, but like to develop an emotional connection with a group of people spontaneously, whether they know you or a complete stranger or somewhere in between, it's not easy, right? That's not an easy thing to do. Once you get it, it's not. I don't want to say it's like riding a bike, but it becomes much more consistent and much easier than it was.
Right.
Still not easy, but friggin' infinitely easier than it is to get the first one, you know? And I mean, not even the first one, but like the first 3, 4, or 5, right? Like it just kind of gets easier, and then you'll finally get the one where you're like, okay, I think I got the foundation or the groundwork to get here.
Right.
You know, and then we can build off this, right? So, and I mean, that started again very, sorry, excuse me, towards the end of the One Love gimmick into becoming the King of the North. And I became the King of the North once I kind of recognized those things happening more and more.
Okay. So you were feeling it. You were feeling the change coming.
100%. That's what I meant. Like, it was time. It was, everything had run its course. And I knew that I wasn't going to go to another level, make more money, get more bookings, be more recognized, become a better talent, more skilled, better, whatever the case. None of that was going to improve without me taking another step, one step back to take 2 steps forward, you know?
And the reason why I bring up that specific question, and it's something that you've said, it's one of those skills. And I like to use the adage, it's basically a puzzle. When you take out puzzle pieces, you take them all out of the box, you put them all down face up, and then you start working around the frame and work your way through the middle.
Right.
That's what wrestling is. Wrestling is so many. I don't even think there's a box that can hold how many pieces there are to becoming just a singles wrestler alone. And what you described, being a skill, that's just one of those pieces of the puzzle, my man. Being able to connect with the fans.
Absolutely.
Promos, your gear, your mindset, your physical prowess, the way you present yourself when you come out the curtain, your theme music. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how many pieces of the puzzle it takes.
That's right.
But without those, with just that one little piece missing, you just can never get it until maybe one day in the ring, somebody goes, hey, why don't you try doing this instead of that? Or I like to talk on this show about support, and you've already spoken about it way, way, way at the beginning. The people, you're talking to a friend of yours. A day later, they call back and like, you're King of the North. You're like, you know what? That's pretty damn good.
Right.
That's part of that support system in wrestling.
Absolutely.
And we talk a lot about that, and not having it, again, is one of those pieces of the puzzle. You need so much to become a performer, athlete, and superstar, if you will, in wrestling.
Sure. Oh, you froze on me, pal. You're back.
No,
there you go.
That's okay. Zuck is probably sneaking his way in there trying to get money from me or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah, some prince or something. Whatever.
But now, Carter Mason, I'd like to kind of get a description of how you perceive yourself as a wrestler, because there's so many different facets of wrestling, different forms of art of wrestling, if you will. And I know there's hardcore death match and regular and ladder matches and table, and there's different, art forms, if you will. You have the lucha libre and such, and the strong style. What do you consider yourself, if you had to describe yourself as what type of wrestler, what would you describe yourself as?
This is a question I do get asked often on these interviews, and which is not a bad thing. It's just it leads me to my answer. I'm sorry. So it is a question I get asked often, and when I first got asked it, I had a word in my head, but it seemed like these type of questions I almost don't like answering. I don't. it feels not modest or not humble to answer these type of questions, even if it may not be that way. It just, for me, it feels that way. So I didn't like answering it, but I would always have a word in my head, one word specifically. So I started asking other people, like, okay, well, like, you asked me the question, what would you think? You've seen my matches. How would you describe me? And they all said the same word, and it just coincidentally was the word that I would think of, and that's a hybrid. I think I'm a hybrid. I don't have a style I could give you that I go, I'm this, because I'm not. I'm a freaking hybrid. What I do in that match depends on infinity different factors. You know what I'm saying? And I like to think I can do a lot of styles at least decently. And there's not a style of wrestling that I have not done at least once. I've done a death match. I've done, gimmick matches. I've done Iron Man matches. I've done, there's not a style. I've done Lucha Libre. I've done Strong Style. I've done regular, done TV based. I've been on Monday Night Raw, right? So I've worked a TV match. There's not a style of wrestling I haven't done or wouldn't do, depending on the situation and the right situation.
Man, again, you have the 18 years behind you, and you've done quite a bit. But a little Jenga piece I wanted to pull out that you spoke of earlier. You casually threw in
Please.
European tour. Who the hell just throws in, yeah, blah, 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 European tour, blah, blah, blah. I was like, wait, a European tour? What are you talking about, my man? So you've gone abroad and being able, but this is my point, being able to get away from home and comfortability and being scared on these other travels. That is another one of those pieces of the puzzle, my friend.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. The very, very first one, it was a week to the day after my 18th birthday in Essen, Germany, for WXW. I'm lucky enough to have been able to work for them a handful of times. A week to the day after my 18th birthday. I actually lucked out. My birthday present, my 18th birthday present was to go to Germany. I have family down there. So I was gifted a flight over to visit and have vacation. I knew I was going to be there. I just wrapped up my professional wrestling training. So I was like, you know what? Let's see. I'm going to be here. Do you have a spot? And it worked out, That event, I was nervous. That event abroad, I was very, very nervous and tried to mask it and tried to be confident, brave. I was barely 18, like a freaking child, and it was a pretty adult professional company, right? So I was just nervous. I felt out of place, but I think I held my own and had a good match, a fun time. Everyone after that, it was just kind of like I didn't even think of it. I'm just like, I want to wrestle. I'm here to wrestle. Go do what you do. Like, I know how to wrestle. I've been trying to do this, so go wrestle, right? Whatever. If I do something wrong, I got people here that are going to correct it when the match is over. We'll do it right next time. Let's go friggin' wrestle. And that was the thought. Lucky enough to make a lot of friends because of that. I actually ended up living with Tommy and Aleister Black for 3 months. I think it was the third or fourth trip over there. Touring around Europe, so I've been gifted again a lot of amazing experiences because of wrestling and these tours. Yeah,
I'm glad you said both, and all of what you said is just simply amazing. And one of those experiences, without going abroad, and again, I know there's a fear when you leave your comfort zone, especially in the world of wrestling. And it's very exciting at the same time.
right.
But when you said Tommy N / Aleister Black, I thank you for that because I can't call him Aleister Black. I will always call him Tommy N, and I hate WWE for calling him that ever because I was a big, big fan of Tommy N, and I saw him in Enfield, Connecticut on his final run going against Brian Fury on his final run
Awesome.
at Blitzkrieg Pro in Enfield. And I'm telling you, man, yeah, I'm getting the goosebumps just talking about it right now because that was like one of the first shows I brought my old man out after he retired or was getting up to retirement. And we started doing some cool stuff together outside of like real life type shit, And we're like, because wrestling is fantasy. You want to get away from shit. That's why I get away. And I started bringing him. And he wouldn't sit there and watch Raw. He would absolutely turn it off within the first 5 minutes. I know my old man better than anybody. He would think it's pure shit garbage. He can't get through the fluff. But take him to some indie stuff. You've got a lot of action. It's very intimate. It's in your face. You're right there. You get to boo. You get to cheer. You get to be part of it. It's an ambiance.
Yeah.
We go to every single show together, my man, and it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, seeing Tommy End v. Brian Fury, that was a good one for me. So whenever he became Aleister Black, I was so pissed.
I love the name. I love the gimmick, Aleister Black. I love Tommy End as well, for sure. I do. But I mean, everyone. That's why I love wrestling too, and that's why art is because everything is so subjective. So like, one man's trash, is another man's gold. One man's gold is another man's trash. So like, that's
And they didn't really screw him at the beginning. They made him very big, very dark, and that entrance. Holy shit! Whenever he popped up the first time, I go, "Now that is cool."
Oh yeah, man! Phenomenal. Yeah. He's a great talent, and just as good, if not better, of a human being.
Well, we've been talking for almost an hour, and absolutely, I totally agree with you. We've been talking for almost an hour, and I know there's probably stuff that I haven't got out of you, but what I like to do is maybe I don't have no specific run time, but I like to run about an hour. People don't want to hear me yammer too much longer anyways.
Hell yeah,
but and I think we got a lot of info, a lot of cool conversation, kicking back as just wrestling fans and just having a good time. Now, with everything down in Canada, are you traveling at all to come this way, or what are you doing? You just staying home and waiting for things to kind of fill out, or what's going on?
It's not that I am, but we don't have much of a choice. The borders are shut down, so we can't, legally cannot cross borders. Legally to wrestle in the United States, you can't without a visa and stuff like that as well, right? So there's a lot of lines to I's and T's to dot and cross, right? So it seems like we're very close to getting back to some sort of normalcy, which means I will be back in the States hopefully sooner than later. And yeah, that's it. We're just, we all got stopped by the pandemic, so I don't like to talk too much on it. I got screwed just like everyone else. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Absolutely. It's done us all wrong somewhere along the line.
Exactly, right? So, I could complain and bitch and moan. But I was lucky enough that I have a fitness business that still paid the bills. A lot of people lost their jobs and their well-being entirely, right? So I don't like to complain. It's easy to. I have a lot of things I could, but yeah, there's people that got it worse. I'm appreciative of what I got. I'm just excited to come back. Hopefully better than ever, right? That's the idea.
I love all of what you just said there, my friend. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll let you go. What I like to kind of bring to the tail end of these interviews is, you've been on the road maybe more than once or twice. Now, you travel with friends. You travel with brothers and sisters on the road when you do the drives, if you will.
Right.
There's got to be at least one road story you can maybe share with us that's legal. Look, you got a smile already. That could be, at least semi-legal that you can maybe share with us that might be kind of embarrassing for yourself or your brothers and sisters, but not too embarrassing. But if there's any type of story that you can leave us with, I love road stories, my friend. Sorry, Data Banks. I am so sorry.
Before I start any story, let me just work through it, so I don't get halfway and be like, you know what, I actually can't tell this story. No, I'm sorry. It depends, because what kind of outcome are you looking for? Do you want to laugh? Do you want something cool? Do you want something like, holy shit, that's weird?
Hey. You gained a smile when I started asking the question. Whatever comes to your mind, you just lay it on us. It doesn't matter if there's a punchline or if it's just an awe moment. I love it all.
So here's a little story that I don't know if it counts as a road story, but this is just a story of my wrestling career. When I was younger, when I was actually 18, no older than 19, I think I was 18. I definitely was not older than 19. I had just started. I've done the Europe tours, been back. I've done a couple of Europe tours. Back, I was trying to make some, moves around North America, and was trying to break in with the likes of Michael Elgin, and Chris Chambers and Ashley Six. I don't know if you know them. They're Canadians. I'm sure you know Elgin. So had done a bunch of events with them over the course of a couple months, a month and a half, 2 months, and they invited me with them to. Have you ever heard of The Gathering?
I have The Gathering, yes.
Yeah, so they invited me to go down to The Gathering with them. They were booked for it,
Nice.
so I did, and showed up like unbooked, had not let anyone know I was coming. Pulled up, got a band somehow. It was very organized, but just unorganized enough that like we could pull off like getting sneaking me in. You know what I mean? Without actually sneaking me in, like getting me oh, what do you mean he's not on the list? No, he's like, we freaking give a heads up, get him the bracelet. Ugh. And then all of a sudden, like once you're in, right? So I was there. Obviously was not on the event, but the guy that was booking it knew me from. I had worked a handful of IWA Mid-South events prior to.
Okay.
So he was not Ian, but one of the talent was booking the event, the wrestling event for The Gathering. So he put me on. That was where I worked my first death match. Took a nice old stibble gun to the forehead. Had a fun time. Got a lot of Fago and stuff thrown at me during the match. Yeah, it was great. The next night is like, so each night there's wrestling. This is, I think, Thursday or Friday. So either Friday or Saturday, there's like the main events, not the main event, but like the main wrestling event. It's called Bloody Mania, and the event's going on and matches, whatever, blah blah blah. There's thousands of people there watching. The event starts at midnight, so it's like it's just chaos. Everyone's friggin' messed up, torn up by the time they get there. And Roddy Piper and Scott, I almost said Scott Hall. Roddy Piper and Scott D'Amore are in the ring, and they're cutting a promo on one another, and they are literally nose to nose. Like this is a very like serious, aggressive promo, and I'm 32 now. In one hand I can count the amount of times that like time itself has kind of stopped or slowed down, and this is one of them. So Roddy Piper's cutting a promo, and Scott D'Amore's cutting his promo, and then all of us saw it. A chair, like a folding chair, just starts like a ninja star flipping through the fucking air, just through the air from the crowd. So someone's taking a chair and just going, whoo, and it's flipping now towards the middle of the ring, right? Like literally like a ninja star, but it's a friggin' steel chair. And friggin' Roddy Piper and Scott D'Amore are like this, with like maybe 3 inches, 4 inches, maybe, and somehow this chair passes between both of them like a ninja star and like falls on the other side of the ring, and neither of them acknowledge it. Both of them just like eyes locked. I don't know if they didn't like, because it was so close. Maybe I don't know. Like, did they both blink simultaneously and just not see it because it was so quick? But like, neither man moved, and this chair somehow avoided both men, and just, whew, I'll never forget that. That was a sight to this day. So that's my story. One of the stories I can actually tell from The Gathering. The Gathering was a friggin' experience, man. That was crazy.
Yeah. The Gathering is a loony bin over there.
It's an experience. It's something.
My friend, that was a fantastic story to pick. Are you kidding me? A steel chair that passed? Oh, I love all of that. That's a fantastic story. Thank you so much for sharing.
You are welcome, my friend. You're welcome.
Now, I noticed, maybe I just didn't find it or stalk you good enough, or follow you good enough. I'm sorry. Now, is there a Carter Mason page out there? Because I was going to tag the old Carter Mason page, but I didn't happen to see one. So that leads me into, where can we find you on social media? And you could give us everything that you have. I don't care if you have like a what do they call that? A Pornhub. If you got a Pornhub, give us your handle. No matter what, just hit us with what you got.
No Pornhubs, no OnlyFans.
Oh.
Fortunately, I'm sorry to everyone out there.
Okay.
I do have a Facebook page, so it's weird it didn't come up. You should just be able to type Carter Mason. If not, type Carter Mason Wrestling, and you'll see my page. Carter Mason should bring it up. Beyond that, everything is Mason Wrestling. So Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I'm sorry, all Mason Wrestling. One word, MASON Wrestling. That's my handle for everything. Instagram Mason Wrestling, Twitter Mason Wrestling, YouTube. Yeah.
Thank you again for the information that you shared. Being such a gem, talking to us for never mind. This isn't my show. This is our show, the fan show. So right. I know you're talking to me, and I appreciate you listening to me yammer for a whole hour. I thank you so much for that.
Well, it was like 45 minutes and then like 15 minutes of exposing the Duck Lord, right? So this year, you're welcome, and thank you. It was a pleasure of mine. I would love to do it again anytime, my friend.
That would be amazing. And Mr. Baker, if you are watching this, and I know we had a lot of fun, I thank you.
Come on, who are we? He's freaking watching.
He can't wait to watch, I bet you. I cannot thank you for this connection right here, because that's how we really connected on the
absolutely. The Duck connected us, put us in contact.
Yes. With all of that said, with all the information we've gathered from the gathering to the Duck Lord to we spoke Jason Kincaid. I never saw that coming at all in any interview talking about Mr. Kincaid. I mean, fine talent, but I don't see that coming at all.
That's my guy.
We've had such a fine hour, and I thank you. And I know I say thank you way too much, but I just can never. I pop every time I get a yes, just like it's my first time on my first interview. And I thank you guys and girls for allowing me to give me your time.
It was my pleasure, boss. I had as much fun as hopefully you did as well.
Yes, awesome. With all of that said, and I didn't drink moonshine, but we laughed like a son of a bitch tonight. With all of that said tonight, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the King of the North.
You got
Carter Mason.
That's right.